The president's new, more upbeat message is a complete U-turn from his recent statements about our economy. Just take a listen.
But these are far from the best of times. By any measure, my administration inherited a fiscal disaster. The economy's performance in the last quarter of 2008 was the worst in over 25 years. And frankly, the first quarter of this year holds out little promise for better returns.
If we don't move swiftly to put this plan in motion, our economic crisis could become a national catastrophe.
National catastrophe. Isn't it nice not to hear that kind of talk? Good going, Mr. President. Well, President Obama is beginning to take the economic advice of his senior advisors. Larry Summers, today said people should stop talking down the economy and end what he called the excess of fear.
It is this transition from an excess of greed to an excess of fear that President Roosevelt had in mind when he famously observed that the only thing we had to fear was fear itself. It is this transition that has happened in the United States today.
Took them about 7 weeks to discover the lessons of history. The president's spokesman, Robert Gibbs, today said, quote, "There is no safer investment in the world than the United States." Something you've been hearing here throughout. Well, in switching to his new role of optimist-in-chief, the president seems to have difficulty expressing himself so clearly as he did when he was being somber, dramatic, and even frightful, especially when he's not using his teleprompter. Here's the latest example.
I don't think things are ever as good as we say, and they're never as bad as they say. And things 2 years ago were not as good as we thought. They're not as bad as we think they are now.
Not as bad as we think they are now. Well, if we think they're bad, well, doesn't he mean that they're not as bad as he's been telling us they are, or his advisors have been telling us they are? Well, anyway, I guess the president is trying to say there are known knowns, but there are also known unknowns. And where have we heard all of this kind of syntax before?
As we know, there are known knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know. But there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
Helpful? Former Defense Secretary Rumsfeld, known for his blunt but ineloquent style. Communist China tonight is expressing concern about the state of the American economy. China's concern, of course, not motivated by sympathy for the millions of Americans whose jobs have been exported to China. No, the Chinese premier says he's worried about the safety of China's huge holdings of U.S. Treasury bonds worth almost $1 trillion. The White House was quick to offer reassurance to the concerned Chinese premier. White House Press Secretary Gibbs saying, quote, "There's no safer investment than the United States."